One day, my husband asked me, "Hey, how much money do we have in that safe?" I chuckled and replied, probably around $500,000 in total now. The next day, when I got home, there was a signed divorce paper on the living room table, and both my husband and the safe were gone. My name is Helen, and I'm a 58-year-old working housewife. I still work hard at my job. You see, my hobby is saving money. When I was a child, my mother opened a savings account for me. She told me that depositing money in the bank made the numbers in my passbook grow, and I found that very enjoyable. I started depositing a little bit at a time, starting with just $1, and enjoyed watching it grow. So when my savings grew by a few cents in interest each year, it was a delightful surprise to my young self. Being fond of money and how it works, I worked as a financial planner and gave advice on managing assets. One day, a friend from college told me, an old childhood friend is in serious trouble due to debt. Could you give him some advice? So, I decided to meet with him and my friend. This old friend was a handsome man with a refreshing smile. My friend explained that despite his looks, he loves gambling and is struggling to make ends meet. I thought you, Helen, might have some good advice, my friend said. His name was Mark. As I listened to his story, Mark admitted he loved gambling, just like his parents. Even worse, he'd had taken on his parents' debt. Of course, he seemed to be quite worried. I found his troubled expression rather endearing. Because my friend had asked, I gladly agreed to help him. Looking back now, perhaps I had a bit of a crush on him, but I never imagined that this would lead to a series of troublesome events. Anyway, I advised Mark to consolidate his debts and reduce his monthly payments so he can manage his life somehow. Not long after, Mark and I started dating. That friend of mine opposed it, saying I wouldn't recommend being with him. But we went ahead and got married. I thought that getting married would help us face Mark's debt together. My income is pretty good for my age group. Therefore, most of Mark's income went towards his debt, and I made sure he cut ties with his parents to prevent the debt from increasing further. I gave Mark a monthly allowance of $500. When Mark decided to cut ties, his mother yelled, "Ungrateful child. I wish I'd never given birth to you." It's only natural for a child to repay their parents' debts. His father also said, "Where's that thieving cat? I can't rest until I give her a piece of my mind. You don't belong to us." My husband Mark, exhausted from having to deal with my in-laws' debts all this time, finally told them, "Enough is enough. I'm not your ATM. I'm trying my best here," and came back to me. He finally felt relieved to be free from my in-laws constantly bringing up their debts. Soon after, we had a son. Our son Kevin is handsome, just like Mark. He's my pride and joy. Kevin seemed to pick up on his father's lack of discipline and indecisiveness, just as our son had noticed Mark's carefree character didn't change. Borrowing money from predatory lenders, dealing with loan sharks, tricking friends into lending him money to gamble it away. We went through a lot, but I managed to keep Mark in line. As 23 years went by, and recently we finally got down Mark's debt to about $10,000, we're almost at full repayment. At that moment, Mark received a call from his parents. "Please help us. Your father has collapsed. We're at the hospital now. Can you come?" Mark left work early and came to the hospital. Then he messaged me, "Helen, Dad collapsed. I'm at the hospital now. I'm sorry I broke our promise and went to see my parents. I'm really sorry." "What? Your dad collapsed? So how is he now?" I asked. "He had a minor stroke. His life isn't in danger, but he shouldn't overexert himself. Both my parents are feeling low. I want to stay with them for a while. Is that okay?" Mark replied. "Of course, honey. Go and comfort them." "Should I come too?" I inquired. "No, it's okay if you're busy with work, and they might treat you poorly again," Mark responded. I started giving Mark a little extra money for his hospital visits. They probably couldn't afford the hospital fees. Since then, Mark seems to visit his parents often. Each time, he took $200 to $300 from me. I guess my in-laws are struggling financially and are taking a little bit from Mark. It amounted to around $1,000 to $2,000 a month, but I let it slide for now. A year has passed since my father-in-law collapsed. Both my in-laws have aged, and I guess they wanted someone to lean on. My hobby, as always, is saving money. One day, I took out my bank book from the vault and grinned. Usually Mark, who wasn't interested in me, stared at me and asked, "Hey, how much money do we have in that bank account you always look at so happily?" "It's about $500,000 now," I answered casually. But the next morning, I found divorce papers filled out in the living room, and both Mark and the safe were gone. As I was having breakfast, I couldn't help but smile. I knew Mark had been eyeing the money in the vault. Moreover, he had planned to take the entire vault. He's really not smart, but imagining him carrying the whole vault almost made me burst out laughing. We have a black cat named Luna. We've installed a pet camera to watch her. Luna's adorable antics are the healing moments of my day. There I was, watching that camera during my lunch breaks. No matter when I look, my child is just adorable. One day, as I switched on the camera, there they were in our living room on a weekday, my in-laws and my husband Mark. And they were having an unbelievable conversation. "Oh, you're living in such a nice house, Mark. Let's have a good salary makes your mother so proud," they said, flattering my husband. "Indeed, I am proud," responded Mark's father. "You know, I make a pretty decent salary myself. But Helen takes all of it, so I only get an allowance of $500 a month," Mark said. "Oh, you poor thing. You've been working so hard." "Your mother understands," they consoled. "I can't believe she takes all your salary and only gives you $500 a month. That's outrageous. You should be getting more. Why are you obeying such a tyrant like Helen? You could be living much better on your own." They continued, "You're our pride, Mark. You could have saved hundreds of thousands by now. But she's just exploiting you. You poor thing," they said as my mother-in-law began to sob. "Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing." "You guys are right," Mark agreed. "What is he talking about?" He seemed to have completely forgotten that I've been working hard to pay off his debt. I wonder what's going on inside their heads. Moreover, in the past, who was burdened with debt from his parents and had to give them cash every month, making it difficult for him to get by? You know, she has a bank book with tons of savings stashed away. "It's not fair that I only get $500, Mark complained. The moment he said that, my in-laws' eyes lit up. They exchanged glances. "So, how much is in the bank book?" They leaned in eagerly, awaiting his answer. Last I heard, I think it was around $400 or $500, Mark said. "Mark, isn't that money rightfully yours?" they asked. "It might not match the effort you've put in, but isn't it money you should be receiving?" "Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm starting to think the same thing," Mark conceded. Despite his good looks, Mark is indecisive and easily influenced by others. I used to find this indecisiveness endearing and devoted myself to him wholeheartedly. We've managed to reduce his nearly $200,000 debt down to $10,000. Yet it looks like he's being manipulated by his parents again, and they're about to touch my precious savings. Seeing this scene was so pathetic. I was at my desk at work, tears streaming down my face as I held my phone. I've been putting aside my living expenses from our using his income, mostly to pay off the debt. On top of that, I was providing him with an allowance of $500 out of my own earnings. Despite explaining this to Mark, it seems he's completely forgotten what these past 23 years have been for. I felt so sad and pitiful, my heart aches as if I was drowning in my own tears. It's not like I felt like I was disappearing, on the verge of breaking, but I made sure to record the conversation and sent the data to my son. That day, I left work early due to sickness. I went to my usual bar and drank heavily, spilling out everything to the bartender. In such a state, the bartender comforted me gently. He casually said, "Why do you grieve such a person? You did nothing wrong. There's no need to live for them. Live for yourself." At that moment, all my intoxication and love for my husband faded. "Thank you, sir. Next time, we'll share a pleasant dream." I said to the bartender. I went back home after I said that to the bartender. Entering my study, I began to think, how would I steal the bank book inside that vault? I couldn't even begin to imagine, but I needed to devise a plan. I will show them hell. They shouldn't underestimate me. I concentrated harder than usual. Gathering evidence was the first step. From then on, I frequently checked the pet camera every day. Then the ugly truths began to surface. My husband was bringing home a young woman during his supposed work hours. It seems like he was bringing her over about 3 times a week. I couldn't believe I had to witness my husband's infidelity when all I wanted was to watch our cat, Luna. Luna also seemed to be scared and wouldn't show up. They ruined my precious relaxation time. No more than that, they betrayed me, which I can't forgive. One day, I'll punish them severely. One day, while I was working, I activated the pet camera. This time, it wasn't the woman my husband was having an affair with, but my in-laws were at our house again. So, is everything arranged to take that bank book from Helen? They said with an unpleasant grin. You're smart. You must have thought of something, right? Yeah, I thought about it. I'm thinking of taking the entire vault. It'll be easy, my husband replied. Hey, that vault is quite heavy. Are you sure you can do it? I'll be fine. I'll load it on a cart. Help me out, Dad. All right, I'll assist you any time. The safe weighed about 120 pounds. As I suspected, my husband Mark was good-looking but not very smart. Once again, I pledged in my heart to drag these people down to the depths of hell. If we have that money from that bank book, we can go to the casino as a family. We can live as a family of 3 again. That's right. Let's live happily with the money from that bank book, right, Mark? Yeah, but I do feel a little bad about Helen. She was saving up so happily, Mark said. Working hard and saving all that money. Can we really just take it? You can't be so weak-willed. We're doing this for your happiness, remember, right? I'll be happy. Besides, you found a new wife, haven't you? Quickly divorce that woman. I have to divorce for her sake as well. I'll leave the divorce papers here then, my father-in-law declared. That's right. We're waiting for the money from that bank book and the new wife. So I'm going to be divorced. Well, I guess that makes sense, Mark agreed. I found myself strangely accepting, but just how desperate are these people for some money? I was sipping coffee at my office desk, recording the scene on my phone screen. I wasn't even upset or sad anymore. If they had such intentions, so did I. I was going to show them all hell. I was fired up, and then the day finally came. Hey, how much money is in that passbook in the vault? You always seem so happy when you're looking at it, Mark asked. Right now, there's about $500,000 in there. The next day when I got home, there was a signed divorce paper in the living room, and both my husband and the vault were gone. I had a smirk on my face while having breakfast. I acted quickly afterward. I immediately filed the divorce papers and contacted my son right away. Kevin, your father finally stole a vault. Can't believe he managed to carry it. It's so heavy. Mom, I think it's about time you end things with Dad. By the way, did he take everything in the vault too? Actually, I moved all the money to online banking. The passbook is essentially worthless now. The most valuable thing might have been the safe itself since it was so heavy. Oh, by the way, I've already filed the divorce papers. Now, I'm thinking about filing a police report. I think it's definitely a good idea to file a police report, especially considering the seriousness of the situation. It would also be wise to hire a lawyer to ensure your rights are protected and to navigate the legal process effectively. Oh, right, a lawyer. I hadn't thought about that. Thanks for the reminder. I'm cutting ties with Kevin too. He seemed exasperated, and it's probably best to distance yourself from anyone involved in this situation. As Kevin suggested, I reached out to a lawyer through my private investigative contact. I handed over the recording from my pet camera to both the police and the lawyer, and then I waited. After a while, I received a frantic call from my ex-husband. What the hell? The passbook is empty. What happened to the $500,000? You tricked me. That was my money. Where is it? Tell me now. Or I'm going back to the house and abandoning your cat, Luna. You just committed theft, and now you're threatening me. From now on, communicate through my lawyer, I said, and I blocked his number. I reported the incident to the police and sent the recording to my lawyer. Oh, what a relief! This is what I wanted to do. Karma is a real pain. I got a call from the police shortly after. We have caught the thief. However, the vault was damaged. It appears he forced it open, and the things inside were burned. My ex-husband and his parents learned that the passbook balance was zero, and apparently they set the things inside the vault on fire. Even though it was his first offense, my ex-husband spent a few days in police custody, and his parents were released with a stern warning. My ex-husband broke into the house he used to live in after he was released. Hey, open up. I come back. I'm sorry. It was just a small prank. Let me in. Let's talk. You haven't filed the divorce papers yet, have we? We're still married, right? Don't make a scene in front of the house. This is no longer your house. I've already filed the divorce papers. We are strangers now. Leave now, or I'll call the police. You jerk. This is my house. Open up. Open up. I called the police when he started causing a scene. 10 minutes later, he was taken away by the police again. I then called my lawyer, explained what happened, and had him start the process of getting a restraining order. Afterwards, I asked my lawyer to sue for emotional distress due to infidelity. The lawyer said we might not get much money from his broke family, but none of that really matters. I'm definitely going to demand alimony. It seems the reason he broke into our house was because he was discarded by his mistress and apparently wanted to get back with me. His mistress promptly transferred $10,000 in alimony and seemed to have fled. It seems they split after the vault incident when the money ran out, so was the love. I'm sure he was enticed by my $500,000. My underpaid ex-husband, who still has $10,000 in debt, and his gambling-addicted parents seem to be struggling with daily life. He appeared to be living in an old single-room apartment without a bath, constantly quarreling among the three of them. This information came from my lawyer. My ex-husband pleaded, I can't afford to pay the alimony. Please reduce the amount. And my ex-husband, who got involved with the police, was on the verge of retirement, but apparently got fired from his company. The elderly parents-in-law have managed to find jobs in cleaning and seem to be barely making ends meet. My ex-husband is now working 3 part-time jobs, but these 3 are gambling addicts, so no matter how much money they have, it disappears. There's no helping them. I had my lawyer tell them no reduction, stay away from her. If you're really sorry, show it with money. If he had stayed with me, he had planned to end the remaining $10,000 debt by the time he retired. But he fell for the sweet talk of his gambling-addicted parents-in-law. In the end, how foolish this $500,000 seemed.